Hi everyone, it's me, Farah. We wanted to take an opportunity to send a message to all of our fail-safe clients. We've received a lot of your questions and concerns. We know that this is a very difficult time for all of us, and many of us have a lot more questions than answers. And we've received a lot of your emails, questions regarding the Sba loans, questions regarding unemployment. And since we have not had an opportunity to respond to each and every one of you, and since the questions seem to be within the same areas, we wanted to create a small video just for our fail-safe engagement clients, where we are giving you some information of some resources that we have found to be helpful. Please keep in mind there's still a lot of information and a lot of details that have not been published as of yet. So the information we're sharing with you is as of literally tonight. So as we continue to get more information, we will continue sharing that information with you guys. We know, again, it's a very difficult time, but knowledge is power, and having it done in this format allows you to get access to the information as soon as possible. So I really hope that this video answers a lot of your questions. Okay, we're going to try to see if we can put everything in one video. If not, we will have to divide them up. There's some specific topics that we want to address. The first one's going to be based on some extensions, some housekeeping items in terms of what things that you need to be concerned of, or which ones you don't have to be so concerned about. We're going to talk about the Sba loans. We've gotten a lot of questions and concerns about that. We're going to talk about the unemployment, how that would work for not just yourselves, but also for your staff members, contractors, and employees. And some other information we received regarding some leaves and some payroll credits that are becoming available. Now you're going to see that I'm going to be accessing some notes because it's a lot. It's a very large bill, and there's a lot of details. So based on the information, we were able to pull some resources. Now, the other thing I wanted to make sure that you guys know as well, there's a lot of stuff, there's a lot of information that's being published, even by the newscast. Please understand, I've been in Telemundo, I've done, Univision. A lot of the times, they don't really wait to verify the information. They just publish it. So it's extremely important that we're very careful with the information that we're passing along. Because again, the way it works with the newscast is just who gets it out there first. And a lot of times they don't verify whether the information is accurate or even complete. And it just sometimes creates more doubt and more questions than answers. So the information that I'm going to go over is information that we've been able to verify, and you're going to notice there's still a lot of details that are not very clear because as the bill was passed, now you have different areas and different government agencies that are responsible for different aspects, and they're still working internally. This is one of the biggest, if not the biggest, relief package that there has ever been in the history. So therefore, there's a lot of different components, and we just want to make sure that you're just aware of that. And with that also comes a lot of scams. I want to make sure that I warn you, anybody that is giving you guys information that sounds too good to be true, most likely is not accurate. So you have to perform your due diligence to really verify the information, really ask questions to ensure that you don't fall victim, okay? Because unfortunately, scammers, they don't discriminate against economic situations or even education levels. They just simply take advantage of individuals that are in a very vulnerable state. And unfortunately, as business owners, we're all in a vulnerable state right now. So I just wanted to make sure that you guys knew that. So we're going to get started. The first thing I want to make sure that you guys understand, the name of the bill is CARES Act. And like I just mentioned, is the largest one we've ever had. Again, we've never had such a situation that has affected so many different components. We know that the influenza aspect in 1918 did, it took a lot of lives and really affected us for a long period of time. But even back then, the relief stimulus package was not as significant as the one that we're facing right now. And I'm getting a lot of questions based on, Farah, what do you think? How long this is gonna last? You have to understand, it's a complicated situation. We haven't been in this situation before. Do I think it's realistic? Some of the things that they're posting out there that most likely we're going to be back to business by Easter, I don't think is realistic. There's a lot of states and there's a lot of counties that have not had a mandatory segregation or even quarantine aspect, and that's an issue, because if there is no way of just preventing from more people being contaminated, this could very well continue to spread. So could this be something that takes us a longer period of recovery? Absolutely. However, the good news is the fact that the stimulus package, it encompasses a lot of aspects, and it's supposed to help us get back to recovery sooner. So the first thing I wanted to make sure that you guys were aware is that there's definitely some extensions have taken place. One of them, as you just heard, is not just the filing of the tax returns, but also the payment of income tax. It relates specifically to income tax, and it's not just for corporations, it's also for individuals, self-employed individuals, and so forth. There is a 90-day relief of tax payments due and also of the filing. Keep in mind, if you are due a refund, you do not want to wait. You want to file that tax return as soon as possible to ensure that you receive that refund as soon as possible. The 90-day relief package and the 90-day relief for tax payments and tax returns has a $1 million threshold that is specifically for pass-through entities. So if you're an S corp, a partnership, a sole proprietor with self-employment tax, this will definitely benefit you. Corporations that have amounts due that exceed $10 million in tax payments, they are able to as well take advantage of the 90-day relief. So that gives us some time. We sent an email out regarding the counties that had extended our tangible property tax returns. Remember, when you have inventory of equipment or machinery that exceeds $25,000, you have to pay tax to your county. As part of the engagement agreements, we fill out those tax returns, and those are due by March 31st. So it has to be done prior to April 1st, so it will be March 31st. So we send out an email based on some counties have already extended it based on this crisis. The ones that have not, and based on our engagement agreement, clients, the ones that the counties have not extended it, we did submit an extension for you. Most of the returns are already prepared, but we want a sufficient amount of time in the event that we have to make any type of changes. And you'll understand what I mean by that. Also, the annual reports have also been extended. Remember, the annual reports is when we submit the list of officers, address changes, and any pertinent information with the Division of Corporations. That has been extended, is no longer April 30th. It's been extended, which is really beneficial for us because that might allow us to make certain changes in the business structure as we may need to. And you will also understand that as we go through this small presentation. Okay, so I discussed the extensions. Now I wanted to go into the nitty-gritty. The questions that most of you have is regarding the Sba loans. There's a lot of information regarding this leave package. I want to make sure that everybody understands. Initially, the amount was going to be only $50 billion that was going to be allocated. That amount increased to $349 billion, which is amazing. And it's divided in different kinds of products. So I'm going to go over that. Specifically, I'm going to go over the Paycheck Protection Program, the Economic Injury Disaster Loans and Loan Advance, what the SBA Debt Relief, and the SBA Express Bridge Loans. So I'm going to explain that, okay? First, I wanted to mention how the Paycheck Protection Program works. So the Paycheck Protection Program is exactly that. It's payroll because it's supposed to protect the paycheck. So what that means is that if you've had payroll, either for yourself, or for employees, and remember, payroll specifically is amounts are being paid to you with Social Security deductions, or even Medicare deductions and federal tax withholdings. That is what will qualify as payroll. So the program itself, what it does is it allows different recipients to actually qualify for a loan of up to $10 million, which is going to be determined based on the 8 weeks prior of payroll plus an additional 25% of that amount. I found some additional information based on that specific loan, because it is a loan. In order for an individual companies to actually be eligible, they have to have 500 employees or less, with some exceptions. But also, based on some information that we found, it looks like any employer that has 50 employees or less, and that's most of fail-safe clients. So there is no additional details. We saw it mentioned somewhere, because if that's the case, we would have to provide justification for this specific loan. We'll find out more details and provide that information to you. The other aspect, or the other qualifications, is a business that must have been in operation on or before February 15th, 2020. That is every business that is listening to this small video. So that qualifications, we would meet it. Also, there's going to be some specifics based on the industry of the business. There's going to be, I guess, some forms of limitations. So each and every business, Fail-Safe Accounting has different kinds of clients. We have attorneys, we have individuals in the medical field, we have logistic clients, we have clients in the construction field, we have restaurants, we have businesses in the event industry. We handle different types of businesses, right? So based on the specific of each and every business, there's going to be some additional information in regards to that. And I'm sorry about the sound. As you guys know, I'm home. I'm working from home just like you guys are. So do not find it a surprise if you find my kids, or you see my kids screaming around. But getting back to this, so they're going to be looking at each and every industry. Depending on the industry, there's going to be some additional requirements. So we are trying to find some additional details, because that's extremely helpful. Nonprofit organizations are going to be eligible for this. The information that it's regarding this specific loan program, you need to be aware that we're going to have to demonstrate that we had employees that were making payroll before February 15th. So now, keep in mind that the reports for the last quarter, which was October, November, and December, at the state level and also at the federal level. So we had the RT6 that we had to submit, and we also had the 941 that we had to submit. We had a deadline of the end of January, okay? The next quarter, which is January, February, and March, we don't have to submit those reports until April. So we might want to discuss whether there has to be any type of modifications that we need to make, whether it's to the last quarter of a year or even if there's still some changes that we need to make for this first quarter. Okay. And if you have some questions, we can talk a little bit more about that. Okay. So that's the information that we have regarding the Paycheck Protection Program. So the other aspect is that for that specific loan, the loan repayment. So let's say they give us a loan, we're eligible for the loans. We do not have to make any type of payments on it until after 6 months. So that's really going to help us significantly to make sure that we have the money accessible to really take care of payroll needs. Okay. There's one note specifically that if you maintain your workforce, the SBA will forgive the portion of the loan proceeds that were used to cover the first weeks of payroll and certain other expenses following the loan origination. So since this specific the purpose of this specific loan is to be able to protect the payroll, the reality is that letting people go, you're not going to be eligible for that, because this is to actually maintain the workforce. So for those that want to they want to be very quick to let people go or even ask them to go into unemployment, be aware that you are going to be disqualified from this specific loan product. Okay? So that's the first one. The second is the economic injury disaster loans and loan advance. So that specific loan can actually provide businesses with up to $2 million that can definitely help in regards to cover any type of loss of revenue that you may be experiencing. The loan advance, it's specifically to assist with working capital, with different expenses that the business has to ensure that they remain in business. There is a loan advance component to this, up to $10,000. That $10,000, it's given to be able to meet some specific expenses. The benefit of that advance is that once the funds are available, which are within 3 days of a successful application, the advances, not the rest of the loan components, because normally how the SBA works is that they give you the amounts based on disbursements and then they ask you to meet certain requirements. So the specific portion of the advance does not have to be repaid. So it's a loan. However, the advance of the loan might not need to be repaid. There is also an SBA debt relief. The SBA Debt Relief Program provides small businesses an ability to not need to repay a lot of these loans. So we know very well that when you purchase an item, a high cost item, like for example a residence, and you need you're asking a finance company to lend you some of the money, right, to be able to purchase the item and make payments. Normally you have to start making payments if it's a principal residence or just a property. Is normally within a 2-month period you have to make repayments. If it's a car, normally within the same parameters. With an SBA loan, the benefit of this is the fact that you are able to defer the repayments. And I have seen it in different situations as well, depending on the disaster, that at that time, the different companies could very well even ask for an additional amount of deferment, which is extremely beneficial. So that allows individuals to really benefit. The SBA Express Bridge Program, let me explain to you what that is. If your business has already had business with the SBA in the past, they allow you to take advantage of the bridge loan, which is kind of like a combination of sometimes uniting the loans that you had, a prior loan with this additional request, or just simply, since they already have your information, let's speed up the process with less paperwork. So if you've had business with the SBA before, they allow you to get access to funding a lot quicker. You can actually get up to $25,000, and it's the turnaround time, it's a lot quicker. The other aspect that I wanted to mention to you guys is the fact that a lot of people are under the impression that the SBA loans money. That's not accurate. The SBA does not lend anything. The SBA functions, works similar like the U.S. Department of Education. So, or even the FHA products, to try to make it similar. It's not the same thing, but it's a specific set of guidelines that exist for specific loan products. You will not be receiving a disbursement from the SBA. You're going to be receiving a disbursement from a financial institution, a loan. It's going to be from a bank. So what happens is that the SBA sets certain parameters. In order for that loan to be considered an SBA product, it has to meet certain conditions. The benefit of the SBA program from the individual or the company or the business actually benefiting from actually soliciting it is the fact that you can ask, they can give you flexible terms when it comes to timing. If you've ever requested a line of credit, if you've ever requested any type of loan product, normally the terms are limited, right? It could be maybe a year, 3 years, 5 years, in which you have to make repayments. With SBA programs, they can actually be extended. A lot of times we're talking about 10 years, or even in certain situations even longer. And the interest rate is very, very beneficial. The interest rate we're talking about that I have not seen an SBA product exceed 4%. So it could be anywhere from 2.5% to 3.75% of the interest rate of the loan product. But those are the parameters. The reason why lenders are willing to participate is because these loan products are being backed by the government. So in other words, lenders have that confirmation that if they're not repaid by you, the government's going to pay them. So there's certain requirements that you need to understand regarding the SBA. They have credit requirements. So in other words, you have to have a decent credit score, okay? The other aspect is you will have to demonstrate the fact that you have the position to repay. So I see a lot of people, a lot of businesses that are even reaching out to us that have already gone through the process, already start applying. This is a concern that we have. And I understand the news is definitely saying, hey, there's limited amount of funds, there's this amount, you have to do it quick. But let me explain to you something. A lot of businesses are going to be applying, and a lot of them are going to be disqualified, or they're just simply, their applications are not going to satisfy the requirements. Think about it like this. You have to demonstrate, yes, that you currently are going through a crisis, but you have to be able to demonstrate that the business had the ability to repay any type of loan product, or that it will have the ability to repay the product after the crisis takes place, because they're still lending you money. So for those individuals that are applying, for those businesses, not fail-safe clients, of course, but those businesses are going already over there and applying for them and just simply submitting tax returns. They don't even have a good analysis of what actually the documents are being submitted. A lot of those are not going to be able to get these loan proceeds. So what does that mean? It's a lot of times it's not the fact of the information that you say, but how you say it. There's such thing as loan preparation documents, and there's also loan packaging. And what that means is that there is a process, since they want to know what your liabilities are, They want to take a look at what your financial statements are. They want to look at your returns. They're a way of being able to properly present it so that they're able to see that this business, hey, needs some assistance and some immediate funding. However, after this whole crisis situation, they're going to be in a good position to repay this money back. But if it's a business that's submitting profit and loss statements with a loss based on prior to when the business, prior to when this whole crisis took place, that's not going to work, because you're still presenting documents to a loan company or to a finance company that's going to have an underwriter that's going to have to sign it. So just make sure that you take that into consideration. That is actually a benefit to us, because a lot of businesses have already gone and trying to apply when even the lenders have not even been selected. I looked prior to start taking this video, and we didn't even see any lenders just yet. So that's really going to be beneficial for the ones that are doing this properly. I know that you need to receive some financial relief, but it's all about the presentation. So don't be so quick, because after you've submitted that documentation, how are you going to omit that information? You can't. So be very thoughtful in that process. This is a process you can do yourselves, okay? There is no cause for you to do this. However, because we've had experience, and a lot of times if you've ever purchased a property, you know how that works. You know that you have the ability to pay. You've paid rent, and a lot of times the mortgage amount happens to be less. But the bank, just the fact that you've been able to prove the fact that you can pay your rent is not sufficient. They want to receive confirmations of income. Then a lot of times they want to see at least 2 years tax returns. I'm not saying that those are the same parameters, but the parameters are going to be that the information has to be properly presented. With that in mind, Failsafe has actually partnered with some loan document preparation, loan packaging professionals that are going to be assisting some of the Failsafe clients, only the ones that are interested in soliciting that, to assist them with the preparation of documents and presentation. What they do is they actually submit the application for you. There's going to be financial statements. We're going to be providing the financial statements. However, they're going to be evaluating the situation as a whole before it's actually presented, because individuals already that have an understanding on how financial statements work, and also what is considered attractive, they're going to ensure that the loan request is done in that method. So if it's not something, it's, again, this is completely optional. If you're interested in that service, you can call you can call our number, and you can let one of the representatives know that you're interested in that product. They can probably talk to you a little bit more about that, because there is a fee associated. Again, this is something that you can do yourself. You don't have to hire anybody doing it, but we've seen the results of people trying to do them themselves as well, and we've seen other someone being assisted at the professional level where they've had different results. So again, I just want you guys to know that, not trying to sell you absolutely anything, but just want to make sure that you understand that whenever you are submitting this process, it's a one-time chance. You also have to try to demonstrate the fact that you're trying to go through this product is because you don't have the ability to go through anything else. So again, there is a lot of different components to this specific product, even though it's definitely going to provide a lot of relief for small businesses like ourselves. Okay, I went over the criterias. I wanted to make sure you guys understand as well that the loan proceeds do have specific restrictions. They have to be in order to cover payroll, rent, utilities, and also leave, whether it's sick leave or any other form of leave programs, which I'm going to talk to you guys a little bit about that as well. The process itself, the application doesn't take long. There's going to be additional components in terms of financial documents. There's a personal financial statement that needs to be provided. So yes, the owners or shareholders that own more than 20%, you will have to provide your information, like your credit, your social security number, your credits will be pulled. One of the questions that I got from one of the clients is, are you going to be personally responsible for the repayment of these funds? Yes. And I have seen it in the past where the SBA loan has not been repaid, and the SBA has been able to put an offset against an officer's personal refund. So these products are not something that you could just simply use or mishandle. They are specifically for business that are suffering financially through this crisis. They need this money in order to be able to maintain operations, and they're interested in repaying it once everything goes back to normal. Okay, so it's not a you're dealing with a government agency. That's what you're doing. So you definitely have access to great benefits, but you have to really understand what that is. Okay, so I think that covers most of the information or questions you guys had regarding the SBA loans. I don't have anything else right now. Oh, one of the things I wanted to mention, a lot of you I've already recommended to set up a NAF account. A NAF account, I like to describe it as a Credit Karma for businesses. It's a third-party website where you can log in and see exactly where you are in terms of your credit score for your business. You can access your business credit report and also personally. NAV is really interested in ensuring that businesses know what type of funding is available. Why? Because yes, you have the SBA loan products that will be available, but there's other products as well that your business could very well be eligible. We're going to send you a link by email. NAV, a lot of you already registered, others may not have. If you need assistance registering, we can assist you with that process. You registered with the business information. There's some steps. You should also get a DUNS number. If you don't know how to do that, we can also provide you some additional information on how to do that. But the idea is that once you've registered with NAV, once the lenders are published, NAV is going, for the SBA products, NAV is going to let you know based on that portal. So it's a good way of actually seeing the different lenders involved. Okay, so we'll send you some additional information in regards to that. Okay, the other aspect of what we've been getting a lot of questions on is based on unemployment, right? Am I able to apply for unemployment? When should I start applying for unemployment? So we sent some information in regards to that. And what I want to make sure that you understand is that there's two different types of unemployment. One of them is based on employee unemployment, and there's also self-employed unemployment. Now, if you are a shareholder of an S corporation, please do understand that as an officer, as long as you meet the time and income restrictions, right, based on the state level, you are able to very well apply for unemployment. So I want to make sure that you understand that if you are a shareholder where you will no longer be able to receive compensation and you have an S corp, you are eligible to apply for regular employee unemployment. I'm going to make sure you guys understand that. Now, if you are an S corp, but you do not have any type of officer compensation, okay, you have self-employment income, like 1099, okay, or you just received distributions or so forth. So normally, reemployment would not be applicable to you. Why? Because these individuals that have been paying on a quarterly basis the RT6, which is part of your payroll, right? They're paying for it's a tax, which in other words, I like to call it a policy, where they pay an amount based on the first $7,000 of your wages, okay? The tax rate also varies. So for example, if you're a brand new business, you started paying 2.7% of that amount, and I think I did the calculations here. So you have an employee, or you're actually paying payroll for yourself. The first $7,000, you pay the 2.7% amount, which only equals out to about $189. If you don't have any claims after several quarters, that rate amount that you pay for the first $7,000 continues to decrease, which can go all the way down to 1%. The amount of 1% based on the first $7,000 in 1 year is $7,000 per employee. Okay. Now, people are asking me, hey, me applying, I'm a shareholder, I receive officer compensation, I have you guys run payroll every quarter, I want to file for unemployment because I can't even open my facility. You know, we have a current order in place, and one of these facilities is considered not essential. So how would that affect my business? So let me explain to you how that works, okay? Unemployment rates are determined based on claims, okay? If you are hiring individuals and everybody's submitting a claim, your tax rate could very well increase. If you don't have that many employees and you've only had payroll for 2 or 3 years, and it's just you and you're trying to file unemployment now for yourself or for someone else, could your tax rate increase? Yes, it could. That we cannot predetermine that. What we can tell you is what the worst case scenario would be. What the worst case scenario would be is the fact that your tax rate increases to 5.4%. So that is the maximum rate in the state of Florida. So therefore, the maximum amount that you could potentially end up, or your business could be potentially affected, is that you will have to pay $378 a year for maybe 2 or 3 years before your rate continues to decrease. Evaluating the situation, that versus actually requesting a benefit does not equate. So what I would say is you don't have to have fear over your tax rate increasing. I don't think it's going to make that much of an impact. If you're going to be closed and you cannot get paid because you're not producing any money and you're in payroll, you can definitely solicit for unemployment, and you could do that now. You could definitely do that now. And you could very well answer the questions properly based on that you are an officer. And as long as we've submitted the quarterlies based on your income, you can go ahead and make that solicitation. Okay. Now, for the self-employed individuals, those are the sole proprietors, those are 1099s, or you may have an S Corp, but you don't pay yourself anything, okay? Normally, you're not entitled for reemployment tax benefits. You're not. However, the disaster relief order has been put in place, does allow for individuals that are sole proprietors or even contractors to request unemployment, okay? This is huge. It's called the Disaster of Unemployment Assistance. Now, primarily the purpose of it is to cover individuals who are workers. They're individuals that are not eligible for regular employee benefits, but they still provide a service. For example, contractors or so forth. Okay, so specifically, if you are in a business and you pay the individual service providers and you pay them as 1099s, this is something that could be quite beneficial for them, or even in terms of yourself. Okay, there's some specific highlights. The benefits must make a request within 30 days of the Department of Economic Opportunities official announcement. By the way, I went in there to the site today. That was not available as of yet. Could that be available tomorrow? Definitely, but it was not available today. The DUA benefits are available for up to 26 weeks for individuals who meet the requirements. And what are the requirements? You must have exhausted your reemployment benefits. So in other words, if you are eligible for reemployment assistance, which is receiving reemployment, you must have exhausted that before you can request for disaster relief, okay? You must have become unemployed as a direct result of the disaster. So obviously that would be many of you, many of us, right? And you were also scheduled to begin work and do not have work or have been able to reach your job site, okay? So that's definitely the conditions. The information that you're going to need for filing, obviously, is going to be your social security number. It's going to be your alien registration number if you're not a U.S. citizen, your name or address. Obviously, if you're self-employed, it's going to be the information, your information, name of address of the information contained in the 1099. If you're self-employed, you must provide proof of self-employment that was directly affected by the disaster. So I've gotten several emails from realtors that I want to apply for unemployment. I want to apply, okay, definitely, realtors would be eligible. However, please take into consideration this. If you currently have closings, remember that is part of your compensation. If you have payments coming in, please do not attempt to file for unemployment now. They're going to probably ask for your bank statements, or probably going to ask for your financial statements, will be a profit and loss statement, and they're probably going to be asking for your 1099 information. So a lot of these unemployment benefits or claims that people are submitting, there is more claims that are denied, so for you guys to know, than the actually ones that are being paid, because again, it has to do with how the information is prepared. So if you're a realtor and you know you have closings, you need to make sure that you wait until those closings are paid before you go ahead and apply for unemployment, because you will not be able to demonstrate the impact as of yet, the loss of income, okay? You must be able and available for work. And that's about, there's a lot of different details, but a lot of the information is pretty clearly understood. I just wanted to make sure that we went over that. And like I mentioned to you guys, in the site, I did not see that available as of today. So if you're going to be applying, make sure you understand, okay, do I receive payroll? Do I not receive payroll? Do I submit quarterlies? Do I not submit quarterlies? If you do, then you're going to want to apply as a regular employee. You have to exhaust that first. If you do not have any type of payroll, then once it becomes available in the site, then you're going to want to file as self-employment, as a self-employed individual. But I want to make sure you understand, we need to make sure that we have the 1099s, and we're going to have the financial statements and also bank records, and most likely they're going to ask us for that information, okay? We've covered the Sba loans, also the unemployment benefits, potential effects that it has. The last piece of information I wanted to cover tonight is based on some leave credits, and this is definitely new, and this is for small and medium-sized businesses, which could definitely benefit many of you. There is a benefit that's called actually the paid sick leave credit. This is for one of your employees or for yourselves if you're an employee of your business, that's unable to work as a result of the coronavirus, okay? Or even the fact that you're still sick or you've been quarantined. If you've had symptoms and you're trying to seek medical diagnosis and so forth. The way that this credit will work is that it will allow for a credit for up to $511 per day and $5,110 in the aggregate form for a total of up to 10 days, which is up to 80 hours. For an employee that is caring for someone with the coronavirus diagnosis, or is caring for a child because the child's school or child care facility is closed, or the child care provider is unavailable due to the coronavirus, eligible employers may claim a credit for 2/3 of the employee's regular rate of pay, which is up to $200 per day, and $2,000 aggregate for up to 10 days, which is 80 hours. Eligible employees are entitled to an additional tax credit determined based on the cost to maintain the health insurance coverage for the eligible employee during the leave period. Now, please keep in mind, this is for leaves, okay? So this might be something that we may want to take a look into before you apply for unemployment benefits. So a question could be the fact that if you provide a leave and you have a leave benefit, and then the leave is exhausted, and then the individual has to apply for unemployment, could you receive a benefit? Yes, you absolutely can. The child care leave credit is in addition to the sick leave credit for an employee who is unable to work because of the need to care for a child whose school or child care facility is closed, or whose child care provider is unavailable. Just as I mentioned previously, eligible employers may receive a refundable child care leave credit. So the employers actually receive this. The credits equal to 2/3 of the employee's regular pay, which is capped at $200 per day or $10,000 in aggregate. Up to 10 weeks of qualifying leave can be counted towards the child care leave credit. Eligible employers are entitled to an additional tax credit additional tax credit determined based on cost to maintain the health insurance coverage for the eligible employee during the leave period. So let me explain to you how you would actually use the credits. There's going to be some additional guidance that's supposed to be published this week, and we're going to be on alert for that. But based on the information we received, eligible employers who pay qualifying sick or the child care leave, so there's two different ones, they're going to be able to retain an amount of the payroll taxes equal to the amount of the qualifying sick and child care leave that they paid, rather than deposit the money to the IRS. The payroll taxes that are available for retention include the withholding of the federal income taxes, the employee share of their Social Security and Medicare taxes. Remember, even if on leave, they still have to pay the Social Security and Medicare portion of the employee. So we're talking about that portion that's normally withheld. And also the employee share of the Social Security and Medicare taxes with respect to all the employees. If there's not sufficient payroll taxes to cover the cost of paid qualified sick and child care leave, employers will be able to file a request for an accelerated payment from the IRS. The IRS expects to process these requests in 2 weeks or less. So this details of additional information is supposed to be available sometime this week. So what does that mean? That means that if in fact you have individuals working with you, employees, that you have them in payroll, maybe what needs to happen is before they're exhorted to actually start requesting unemployment, which we know that's supposed to be available for 26 weeks, it could very well be extended depending on different tiers. We might want to take that road in terms of giving them a leave specifically with the conditions that, for example, my kids are home from school because the reality is that schools have closed. That's a lot of you, or not, that's most of you, the ones that actually have children. So we might want to take the route of taking a leave first before we exhaust the unemployment benefits. So the only way we can determine that, if that's a viable option for us, is to wait this week and really determine how that would work, because that might very well provide us with the credits available, which is money back. Okay, so that might be an alternative. So I know very much that, you know, a lot of people want to immediately apply. They're, you know, specifically newscasts saying, hey, people, apply now, benefits, or first come, first serve. FAFSA works the same exact way. I still have not met anybody that has not been able to take advantage of the FAFSA benefits. Keep in mind, the ones that are applying right away without having all the requirements and without evaluating all the different options, a lot of times they're going to be very well disqualified, which that actually helps the ones that are waiting a little bit more and waiting for additional guidance. I know that's extremely difficult to say in this difficult moment, because a lot of people are saying, Fair, what am I supposed to do? You know, I'm not making any money. I understand that. But the reality is that time is on our side. I'm not asking you guys to wait long periods of time, but you want to make sure that we have all the details necessary. Now, there's some clients that this does not apply to. We know very well the fact that they're in a very difficult situation. There's some that are going to want to speed up the process, and they're just going to want to apply and see exactly how things come along. But I think that you need to kind of evaluate our different options before we take the process of applying and for which specific product. And the reason for that is because if we don't do it properly, you might be missing out on the proper resources to help us recover. I know, again, there's a lot of information out there, and I'm hoping that this video is able to answer some. I know you're still going to have a lot of doubts and concerns and questions. There's more information that is going to be becoming available now. I have some information regarding the individual rebates and the stimulus. A lot of people do not understand how that's going to work. We're going to make another video based on that, so that you can also share that with a lot of individuals that are under the impression that certain things work one way or another. But I just wanted to answer the questions regarding the SBA loans and also the unemployment. As soon as we get more information, we will be providing that information to you guys. You guys are a top priority. As you know, we send out the email. We are available. We're working virtually. From 9 a.m. to 5:30 p.m. our hours of operations. We're available by phone. We're available by WhatsApp. We are available by email. I know a lot of you are going to start asking for your financial documents and so forth. We will make that available to you. And I know that many of you have concerns in regards to what's next, what's the best approach. And we understand that. We want to provide you with that assistance. All I'm asking is we need to evaluate the different options available to us and make sure that we take the right steps, because the idea is to ensure that we get access to the resources available to take us through this difficulty, but that we're able to fully recover from this, which we don't necessarily know how much time it will take. Okay? I thank you guys so much for your support, for your trust. You guys are, again, like I mentioned, our top priority. We love you. We're praying for you guys. And as information becomes available, we'll ensure that we share that with you guys. Okay? Don't forget, if you have any questions, call us 407-201-7988. You guys have our WhatsApp information. We'll send that to you by email as well if you guys don't have it. And also our email address. Thank you guys so much for giving me your time to go over this information. Send us any type of feedback, any additional information that you think that would be helpful in the next video. If it was helpful, it was not helpful, please provide me your feedback. We're absolutely fine with that. We appreciate it. We'll definitely use it to continue to grow and make sure that we get the information out there that's really applicable to you. Okay? Thank you guys so much. Love you. Take care. Bye-bye.